Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here on this wonderful Sunday. Nice day out today. Here it's nice and sunny anyway. Uh, Hope you guys are having a nice Sunday. Hope you guys are doing something fun. Anyway, let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. This article is about XRP, and hate to say I told you guys so, but XRP has been having not doing so well. XRP underperforming because of low institutional adoption and intense competition, you know. And like I've been saying all along, 50 billion XRPs are being held in basically an escrow by the ones who created this coin. And that's a lot. 50 billion is a lot when you understand there's only I think 49 billion in circulation. So that's more than all you guys hold, the holders, bag holders that have. Anyway, let's take a look here at this. Now, if you guys don't know what Commerce Bank is, it's one of the big banks in Germany. Like Deutsche Bank is another big bank in Germany, and these banks both of them are slowly failing. But Commerce Bank is testing blockchain-based technology. Uh, they've sent their first machine-to-machine payment solution, and I guess they're sending euros. It says working together with its research and development and main incubator, Commerce Bank is the first German bank to develop a blockchain-based payment solution for machine-to-machine payments. Fully automated payment process between an electric charging point and a Daimler truck system has taken place for this transaction. Commerce Bank issued euros on a blockchain and provided Daimler trucks with cash on ledger, the money on the blockchain to process the payment. So this is kind of like a first. It's kind of like back in a long time ago when they tried the first telegraph operator, and they had set up a cable between two telegraph stations and they sent the first communication back and forth across the telegraph line. Well, that's just the same thing. This is a first. Soon it'll be spreading. They'll be sending transactions this way all the time because they're much faster and they don't need a third party in order to verify the transaction. So this is going to be a trend moving forward. This is something that's going to take hold, and it's going to you're going to see more banks starting to use blockchain as a solution to this age-old problem of verifying transactions. Let the computer verify the transaction. Now, this article right here, is Bitcoin becoming a safe haven asset paralleling gold? Well, the answer is yes, it is. And there's something interesting happening here. And I can see it progressing into the future where Bitcoin and gold exchange kind of freely across the internet. Bitcoin could very possibly become something that's used to facilitate transactions of gold. And this would limit the amount of transactions that Bitcoin needs to perform. Bitcoin's capable of performing 7 transactions a second, but if it's used, its primary use case is to transfer gold around the country, like from one place to another. This way they don't have to actually move the physical gold. Have you ever been on a highway? And the big highway, the big 4-lane highway, you see on the other 2 lanes on the other side of the Meridian Strip, you see a truck going south, and he's carrying a big load of 2x4s. And right next to you and next to your lane going north, there's another big truck carrying a big load of 2x4s. Well, they're both moving in opposite directions carrying the same payload. Well, this is a waste. The thing is Bitcoin can facilitate the being able to move money around. And here's the thing. You got some gold in Australia. You don't need to move the gold back and forth like the 2x4s. That you have to move them from point. Just leave it right where it is, You know, the other country's got gold, you got gold in your vaults. You can send a representation of that gold from one place to another using the Bitcoin to facilitate. So I can see it. This is a role that Bitcoin might adopt in the future, where it facilitates the movement of gold, and the gold might be the underpinning of the world's financial system. Bitcoin will be the representation of that underpinning, if you see what I mean. So the value of both would go exceedingly high. And this is a future. This is a future I could see very potential, a very big potential for Bitcoin to facilitate the movement of what is the actual fundamental bedrock behind the world's financial system. I could see this happening very, very easily. Let's take a look at this. Billionaire Mark Cuban compares Bitcoin to gold. He sees Bitcoin and gold as being the same thing. So this would give emphasis to what I just said about Bitcoin being something that's used to facilitate the trade of gold around the world. You know, he compares Bitcoin to gold. He says Bitcoin is being increasingly valued as an alternative store of value asset. It's a finite supply, very limited. Well, gold's similar. Gold, you know, is actually not as finite as Bitcoin. Because there's a lot of gold, one could argue that there's a lot of gold still stored in the Earth's crust, and it would be accurate. And you can't have a hard limit to that gold stored in the Earth's crust. Like Bitcoin has a hard limit, 21 million, no more, that's it. Nobody can break that limit. It's set in the actual Bitcoin itself, in the actual coding on the computers that control Bitcoin. And nobody can change it at this point, right? But gold, well, there's talk about gold in the Grand Canyon. There's talk about different new finds. They find new big amounts of gold that they can mine out of the ground. So it's not as clear cut how much gold there actually is in the ground out there that they can mine. It's not a clear cut number like Bitcoin. So the supply, this finite supply of Bitcoin, sort of parallels gold. Because gold does have a finite supply. There is a set amount on the earth. We just don't know exactly what that number is, like we know exactly what the number is with Bitcoin. It says Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks NBA basketball team, is well known for being on the TV show Shark Tank. Framed his comments in the context of investing in collectibles, such as gold. The billionaire said that he hates gold as an investment, and he considers Bitcoin to be in a similar basket of assets that are based upon market supply and demand. He says that Bitcoin has an advantage over gold and the precious metals because he says it's clearly defined total supply. Well, that's the point I just argued a second ago, you know. But you know, gold and silver do have a finite supply as well. Their supply is limited. And as they mine them more and more in the world, they scour every part of the earth for gold and silver, it gets harder and harder to find it. It gets so it's like it's almost like a strawberry field, you know. The first day the strawberries are just hanging off the plants everywhere. You get all the pickers and go in and they pick it and pick it and pick it, and after a while you're hard pressed to find one strawberry. Well, that's the way with gold. They go in, they mine it and mine it and mine it, and after a while it gets harder and harder to find. You know, even though there's still residual amounts there, it takes more effort to get that ounce of gold. And you know, so there is sort of a finite supply on gold as well, you know. He says, while the world has a finite amount of gold and silver, it becomes more difficult to quantify in addition to keeping track of the circulating supply. In contrast, there will only ever be 21 million bitcoins, with the last bitcoin predicted to be mined in the year 2140. As of August 1st, 85% of the world's total supply of bitcoins has already been mined. So they've already mined 85%. He says, despite putting Bitcoin in a peg above precious metals due to its finite supply, Cuban lumped crypto assets in with gold He says he sees Bitcoin and gold as being the same thing, before going on to give an abysmal opinion of the latter. So evidently, this guy does not like gold. Well, there's a difference between me and him. I like both. I like Bitcoin and I like gold and I like silver and I like Litecoin. I'll just make it clear. Those are the coins I like. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this report. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. And you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Bye-bye, guys.